Have you ever had a runny nose or maybe a headache? What about back pain, constipation, indigestion, mood changes, or fatigue? Did you ever stop to wonder what caused it? Well, you may be surprised to know that it was most likely caused by the air you breathe, the food you eat, or the water you drink. Unfortunately, the environment we live in is a rather toxic place. According to the CDC, we are regularly exposed to 50,000 chemicals, and 2 billion people suffer from parasitic infection, 150 million in the United States. That's nearly half the population. And while we think we might be taking proper precautions, it's very hard to avoid all of these contaminants. Did you know that 110 chemicals are used to grow an apple? And while you probably wash your apples before you eat them, did you know that ordinary tap water may contain up to 700 chemicals? The EPA states that drinking water, including bottled water, may reasonably be expected to contain at least small amounts of some contaminants. And what sort of contaminants are these? They include cyanide, mercury, arsenic, asbestos, uranium, cryptosporidium, and giardia, to name a few.
Are you having trouble with digestion? Do you ever suffer from allergies, hair loss, or skin issues such as acne or eczema? These could be signs of a stressed and congested liver. Just like the oil filter in your car keeps impurities out of the motor, your liver filters your blood, breaking down harmful toxins. Now, you can't change your liver like you can an oil filter.
By looking at it under a microscope, you can see that the liver is actually made up of billions of liver cells. Two major blood vessels, the hepatic artery and the portal vein, continuously bring blood to the liver cells. This blood is important because it allows the liver to perform many important functions, like filtering waste and poisons, processing nutrients, and storing fuel for your body. First, the liver cells filter waste, bacteria, and poisons out of your blood and change these toxic substances into safer ones. The liver also helps change certain medicines into forms that your body can use and then get rid of. Processing nutrients is another function of the liver. Most of the food you eat is eventually processed through your liver before your body can use it. After you eat, your food is broken down into small particles called proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Your blood carries these building blocks to the liver, where they are used to make and store many of the nutrients your body needs. The liver also makes bile, which is a fluid that dissolves fat. This takes place in the small intestine. Fats need to be dissolved so they can be absorbed into the bloodstream. In order for bile to get to your small intestine, the liver cells are connected to small tubes called ducts that eventually come together to form a larger passageway. This passage, called the bile duct, carries bile from the liver to the gallbladder, which is a holding area for the bile. The bile is then eventually delivered into the small intestine.
Today I want to talk to you about the liver gallbladder detox system. There's many organs to detoxification. So many people are focused just on the liver. I'm going to do a liver cleanse. The problem is the liver is a detox system. So we need to look at where the toxins coming from, and most of the toxins are coming from exogenous sources, our skin, environment, xenoestrogens, from plastics, styrofoam, off gases, you name it, of course, but also they're coming from the GI system, from bacterial overgrowths, from parasites, fungal overgrowths, from being hypothyroid, from not eating the right foods, from having a low metabolic efficiency, low body temperature, you name it. So we need to look at this. Now, if we look at the liver, why is the liver gallbladder so important? Well, let me actually rewind it a little bit. You have other organs to the detox system. Of course, you have the liver or the hepatobiliary system, which is the liver gallbladder. You have the immune system. You have the kidney and skin. That's actually part of your detox system. Now, of course, we're going to focus on the liver just because of its importance in the GI system. So if you look at the liver, why is the liver so important? It's actually involved in carbohydrate metabolism. It actually helps the body to store glycogen, and it's involved in blood sugar regulation, or helping you produce energy so you can use the glycogen stores when needed so you don't go into the stress reaction. So if you have some type of detox issue in the liver, or you're getting fed toxins through the GI system, You can have the inability to store glycogen, you can have low body temperature, low blood sugar, high blood sugar, decreased energy, fatigue, insomnia, anxiety, all those different things, GI issues. At the same time, the liver is actually, or we should say, the liver is involved in fat metabolism. It produces bile, it produces cholesterol, it's converted to triglycerides, and it actually breaks down fats through the process of beta oxidation. Now, the liver actually produces about 1 liter of bile per day. It's involved in protein metabolism. It's actually the main storage place for vitamin A, D, and B12. So if you have liver issues from an overloaded GI system, now there's many other reasons, we might say, maybe that's why I have a vitamin D deficiency, which actually is involved with calcium. So if I'm not getting enough calcium, I release parathyroid hormone, and my vitamin D levels actually drop and plummet, as well as I'm not getting as much sun as I used to. So it's not about taking vitamin D, it's about looking at our systems, and actually can our systems generate it how they should generate it and store it how they should store it. At the same time, it's actually part of your immune system. The liver actually filters about almost 2 liters of blood per minute. So it's actually part of your immune system. And at the same time, it's actually involved in detoxification, of course, detoxifying hormones, estrogens, the foods we eat, chemicals, on and on.
Now, if you don't know what Candida is, basically it's a yeast. It's a type of yeast that grows in your large intestine, and that's what it is. Now, Candida overgrowth is really the problem, and that occurs for a number of reasons. And let's kind of break that down for a second. So there's basically the biggest way that Candida gets out of control is when you're taking antibiotics, for instance. Antibiotics basically kill all the bacteria, good and bad, in the colon, leaving only, well, not leaving, but allowing yeast and bad microorganisms to flourish thereafterwards. So there's a tendency for the bad guys to they'll tend to proliferate after antibiotics come in, and therefore they're not kept in check by the good bacteria. And that's why probiotics are so good, especially after antibiotics, is that they help to repopulate the good bacteria in your colon to keep things in check. That's one of the ways that it happens. So antibiotics come in, they wipe out everything, Candida overgrows at that point and gets out of control. The second way is a diet that is high in refined sugars. So, lots of sweets, lots of sugar, lots of candy, stuff like that. Those are all things that Candida will thrive on. The third way is not digesting your foods properly, because undigested foods, again, are a source of fuel for Candida and yeast in the colon. So those are 3 big ways that yeast can get out of control. And when we're talking about yeast infections, jock itch, athlete's foot, toenail fungus, whatever it is, all of that comes down to is Candida, is basically this yeast overgrowth that we're talking about. And you can take creams, you can take ointments, and that's going to correct the issue, locally, but it's not solving the problem systemically. So Candida is a problem, and I believe that it goes a lot further than that. I believe that it affects everything from, eyesight to immune disorders to everything, skin issues, everything. And there's more and more research that's showing the impact of Candida, because Candida doesn't just stay in the colon, it circulates systemically once it gets out of control. It's a big, big problem.
I'm still amazed that people think it's normal to have only 1 or 2 bowel movements a week. You should be having 1 or 2 a day, every day. More than just constipation, this can mean a toxic overload that can play havoc on the body. Hemorrhoids, bloating, excess gas, irritable bowel, and even fatigue can all be the result of an unbalanced colon.
EPA states that drinking water, including bottled water, may reasonably be expected to contain at least small amounts of some contaminants. And what sort of contaminants are these? They include cyanide, mercury, arsenic, asbestos, uranium, cryptosporidium, and giardia, to name a few. Fortunately, our bodies were designed to get rid of the toxins and parasites that invade our body. However, as efficient as our body is at doing this, it can be overwhelmed with the amount of preservatives, toxins, chemicals, pollutants, and parasitic contaminants we absorb from our modern world. In fact, the average person carries anywhere from 5 to 25 pounds of intestinal toxic matter. This toxic matter needs to be cleansed from our systems because every tissue in our body is fed by the bloodstream, which is supplied by the intestines. When our intestines are dirty, the blood is dirty, and so are the organs and tissues. Over time, increased exposure to toxins, pollutants, and parasites wreaks havoc on our digestive system. The deterioration of the digestive system can occur silently for years, producing no symptoms or only minor, non-specific ones. Headaches, reduced energy, gas, bloating, constipation, and indigestion. These can be a prelude to the onset of more chronic problems: obesity, prostate disease, diabetes, peptic ulcers, and even colorectal cancer, the fourth most common cancer in women. As a matter of fact, 60 to 80% of all cancers are a direct result of chemicals in our air, water, and food. Toxins our bodies need help to get rid of. Unfortunately, many of us wait until we experience serious health concerns before we consider a healthy digestive system regimen.